Pluribus Season 1 concludes not only with some intriguing revelations regarding the others, but also with Carol finally on the correct track. Carol appears to grow increasingly smug before Manousos arrives at her door in the end of the Apple TV science fiction series. She becomes so lonely that she begins to miss Zoja. Because of this, she unexpectedly adopts the other's perspective in the conclusion rather than adhering to her earlier antagonistic views about them and accepting Manousos' point of view. Because she thinks she knows more about the others than he does, she even deserts Manousos. But after finally having some alone time with Zoja, she comes to the realization that her assessment of the others was incorrect. Manousos flew all the way from Paraguay to meet Carol, believing she was the only person on his side. To his disappointment, Carol appears to have changed her mind about the others before he reaches her. He discovers everything about her relationship with Zoja and realizes she loves her. Carol first tries to remain in denial. However, when it comes to deciding between Zoja and Manousos, she prefers the former. Zoja and Carol spend a lot of time together, and Carol is pleased for the first time in a long time. To her disappointment, Zoja discloses that they have found a means to infect her using her frozen eggs. Carol had previously felt safe near the others since she had been taught that they would need to harvest her DNA from her bone marrow in order to infect her. Because bone marrow extraction is an intrusive surgery, they couldn't perform it without her permission. After speaking with Zoja, Carol discovers that they have discovered a workaround and will soon be able to impose the infection on her. This lets her recognize that the others are motivated by a strong, spreading imperative. Their primary intent is to propagate the illness. Since this realization proves to her that Zoja does not really love her and was hanging out with her to convince her to join them, Carol snaps out of her trance and returns to joining forces with Manousos. In an early scene from Pluribus Episode 3, Carol jokes with one of the others about whether they would be willing to give her an atomic weapon. They agree to do so, which surprises her. This demonstrates that individual survival ranks lower on the others' priority list. If one had to pinpoint their priorities, they would probably be as follows: spreading the infection, pleasing the immune individuals, ensuring their own individual survival. Carol's atom bomb talk from the first episode is resolved in Pluribus finale, in which she returns home with an atom bomb. This demonstrates that she has finally seen how the others are not human at all. They lack the ability to love and do not have the basic human need to ensure their own life. Because they are merely taught to share their gift, they are not human. Their niceness, too, is really a tool for convincing the immune survivors that they have good intentions. Carol recognizes that Manousos was correct when he claimed that killing them all would be preferable to allowing them to transfer their virus to them. Manousos was ahead of the game even in the early episodes of Vince Gilligan's Apple TV sci-fi drama, when he scanned all radio frequencies. He discovered that one frequency, 8,613.0 kilohertz, was active and broadcasting a signal of some kind. He doesn't appear to understand what the signal signifies, but he does figure out how it relates to the invasion. Although Pluribus does not say much about the radio signal, it is difficult not to assume that it keeps the infected people in a swarm state of mind. The RNA virus, which spreads predominantly through human saliva in Pluribus Episode 1, is not the only factor that contributes to the other's integration into the collective consciousness. It appears to only serve as the hardware for it. Once installed in the body, the radio signal functions as software, synchronizing individual minds into a common cognitive network known as the hive mind. Manousos discovers a radio broadcast on the 8,613.0 kilohertz channel, which keeps the others enthralled and stuck together. As a result, any unexpected disruptive sounds, such as Manousos' scream, briefly disconnect the others from the software. Manousos deftly determines what appears to be the hive mind's motivation. But as the season draws to a close, he finds it difficult to learn more about radio signals and their operation. Carol's inventiveness as a fiction writer has already been demonstrated by Pluribus. She nearly got Zoja to tell her the truth about stopping the epidemic when she called in and looked for a means to heal the others. She will employ her critical thinking skills now that she has decided to work with Manousos and has a deadline before the others figure out a means to infect her. The two protagonists will probably soon discover that the radio signal is connected to the hive mind. After that, they will need to figure out how to block the signal, which is probably coming from somewhere on Earth because a radio was able to detect it. They may be able to eliminate the hive mind's program if they manage to interfere with the transmission. In Severance's words, they need to figure out how to break the others out of the hypnotizing signal in order to reintegrate them. Season 1 of Pluribus hardly touches the breadth of its narrative scope. For the most part, Season 1 is Carol's voyage of change, as she alternates between accepting the new normal and discovering that the others are no longer human. Before solidifying Carol and Manousos as the protagonists, Pluribus Season 1's slow pacing and meticulous character development also leave viewers unsure of who to support. Carol will have to work quickly to find a cure now that she is aware that the others are developing a method to infect her. It appears likely that Diabate will eventually join Carol and Manousos after realizing all that is wrong with the others. In Season 2, the others in Pluribus may come up with a new way to halt the heroes without actually hurting them because they're using a single brain. Hopefully, Pluribus Season 2 won't be long following the suspenseful conclusion of Season 1. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.